Good day to you. It's your brother Rich, coming at you with some words of encouragement. If you could do me a favor and like, share, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, you can find me youtube.com/ at brother BRUTHA Rich RICH. Subscribe, comment on these videos. I would much appreciate that. Hey, I want to talk to you again, staying in the lane that we've been talking about, forgiveness. I want to talk to you about the hardest thing to do in forgiveness, and that is to forgive yourself. I've had so many conversations with people, and I can see the shame and condemnation, which condemnation is not from God, neither is shame. And I've been able to see how it literally affects people's health. And I know for me, that was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do, is to forgive myself, because you can't blame it on anybody, no one else, it's 100% you. And typically this comes, in the form of parenting. I want to kind of talk about parenting, especially with all the craziness that's going on with our nation, in the educational system, and this teaching that they're trying to make normal, just in our school systems, in our nation, And I understand it's important for us as human beings to know who we are, and for our children to know who we are, and obviously that starts at the home. And I can tell you, right now, I have not ever met a perfect parent. I know people who have written books on parenting, that will let you know, they are not the perfect parents. And I made so many mistakes, as a parent, and it's amazing that my kids have turned out, the way that they have. I have one child who, is facing some serious time regarding his decisions that he made. And he was not raised that way, So what do you do as a parent when you, have a child who goes wayward? I mean, far wayward. I know the thoughts that have entered my mind about, I should have did this better, and I could have done this better. And yeah, that's all true, but I can't beat myself up, because I have to understand that God has ordered my children's footsteps, and that children make decisions. I can't control any of my kids, and I never wanted to. And that's the thing that I did. I wanted to empower them to make the right choices, because I'm not going to be around them 24/7. I'm not with them at school, so I had to lay a foundation, or tried to lay a foundation, so that way they can make the right decision when faced with certain things, like, doing drugs, or get involved in confrontations, physical confrontations, whatever the situation may be. I wanted, as a parent, to empower them to make the right decision, one that would honor their family, would honor themselves, would honor whoever they are, because I wanted to teach my kids that they needed to be examples. At the very least, they are leaders, and that they needed to lead people down the right direction. And I made so many mistakes as a parent, from my kids, they call me the drill instructor, and that's kind of how I ran my house, because I had 6 kids, and you cannot let the natives run the asylum. You cannot let them, so I had to have strict boundaries, so that way, we could keep some form of order in the house. But I didn't realize that I was setting a atmosphere of control and manipulation, and it wasn't until, so obviously the older kids, a little later in their life, we finally, as parents, we finally kind of started to get our stuff together. And I remember we read this book called Love and Logic, by Danny Silk, which is a great book, and he has some really great stuff as far as parenting goes. And when I began to understand that I needed to empower my kids to make the right decision, and to not punish them. There's a difference between discipline and punishment. Discipline encourages, punishment discourages. Punishment takes courage away. That's why we have so many men in and out of prison, because our prison system is not about rehabilitation. It is literally about punishment. And when you punish people and make them feel like an animal, what do you think you're going to get as the result of that? You're going to get animalistic behavior. You're going to get people who think, well, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm nobody. And that's the difference between empowering and disciplining. And when I began to discipline my kids, that's when things changed for me, and that's when things changed for them, because I realized I am not in control, and it is not my job to control my children. It's my job to encourage them so much so that they flourish into the adults. When I began to understand that I'm not raising children, but that I'm raising adults, that's when everything changed for me. So it was great, because now the relationship with my adult children is pretty dope. We have a pretty good relationship. Obviously, I went through a divorce, and that kind of threw a monkey wrench in the thing. But as far as my kids go, our relationships are solid, and they still let me speak into their life to this day, which is what you want as a parent, because when your kids are adults, you want to be able to have that trust that you can speak into their life and for them to listen to you. So the hardest person to forgive is yourself. And I know there's many other situations, that where we can have a hard time forgiving ourselves. And I'm focusing on the parenting aspect, because that's typically a big one. And that's where I had to forgive myself. I had to say, you know what? I made mistakes. I did things that I shouldn't have done. And it caused my kids to have to jump over one extra hurdle in their life instead of taking that hurdle away. And I caused that, and I had to look within myself and forgive myself for the mistakes that I made and the damage that I may have done in their lives. And we all have different situations. We all have different things that plague us. But I want to tell you what, if you can get to the point where you can forgive yourself, again, forgiveness comes in two ways. There's the supernatural grace of God that empowers you to do something that you could not do under your own power. The second one is making a choice, a conscious choice, to choose to know, I need to forgive in this situation to get free. And freedom or forgiveness is always about the freedom of you, the person that is doing the forgiveness. So I hope this encourages you today. As always, walk in love, don't walk in offense, and keep your peace at all costs. Have a good day.